So good morning, everyone. One of the things I always start off with, I'm the board member for the National Safety Council, and I preach safety very much. I grew up in the elevator industry, and so it can be a dangerous industry. And one of the things that we do is, especially you're sitting at these conferences, everybody's kind of engaged in their devices and going on. So I actually want to take a second. Everybody stand up and kind of move around a little bit, just to kind of get the blood flowing again and get ready to engage. Why do we want to stand up and get things moving and kind of get ourselves back in shape? I'm a farm kid from Wisconsin, so I'm going to tell you very straight. If you feel like crap, you're not focused on safety and you're not focused on other things you're doing. So we always got to kind of put health before safety because it's directly linked and it's embedded in. And through some of that, we've been able to drive behavior changes significantly across our company to, again, try to drive and focus to that continuous improvement on safety. Elevator industry is a great industry in regards to the safety of our passengers, but it's not necessarily the best industry in regards to providing safety for our mechanics. And so it's something we continually strive to improve on. With that, I want to carry you a little bit through the journey that we've been on. So you're probably asking yourself, why is a CEO standing on the stage getting ready to talk about technology? That's probably not that typical. I'm a mechanical systems engineer. So my background was R&D, innovation, and product strategy. And through some of the projects that I was responsible in the elevator business, in managing the C-suite of thyssenkrupp, they said, if you can manage some of the significant change projects that we've done, we want you to be in the C-suite so you can drive that through some of the different businesses. And so I left Germany to come back to the US, to come home, and to look after the 42 businesses here in North America, and to take them on a journey one by one to see how we could basically decommoditize some of our businesses that were having difficulty taking control of their own value chain. So with this, what is thyssenkrupp North America? Basically, we're a combination of 42 different businesses, from automotive components to elevators to engineering, procuring, constructing, chemical plants, concrete plants, and also material supply and warehouse distribution and logistics. We have a little over 23,000 employees, so it's never a dull moment. And I get asked the question all the time, why do I come up and do these? Do I like to be on the stage? Honestly, I don't. Getting on this stage, that first 10 steps is terrifying, quite frankly. But I do like to talk about technology, and I like to engage with the audience with that technology to show what's possible. And that energy from you guys keeps me up here and not falling off the stage. So. We really focus and come out engineering tomorrow together. You can't engineer everything yourself. You need partners. And one of the things we were very fortunate early on, basically about 5.5 years ago, we were able to get lucky and strike up a strategic partnership with Microsoft. I actually sit on their executive advisory board now as of May of this year. But that partnership has really launched a lot of the journey that we've been on through digitalization. So we've done 26 digital transformation projects. Now you hear all these buzzwords, digitalizing, digitalization, digital transformation. What the hell does all that mean? We kind of had to step back and put together for us as a company definition of what should we focus on. We had success early on. We did a huge IoT deployment in elevator. It's called Max. Some of you may be familiar with it. We basically are streaming data out of our elevators now for 4 years, basically. And then using that data to do predictive and preemptive maintenance and integrate it in our complete service business operations. And it's all about scale, and it's all about that data scale and continuing to constantly improve end-to-end integrated into your business. We got lucky. It was a success. It's paid back huge. How did we get there? How did we use that equation to really prescribe something more? So we kind of went back and said, look, there's all these new technologies, and I see a lot of companies. Now, we did 26 transformations. Doesn't mean that we didn't have a few fail. We had actually 3 major projects fail. And 2 of the projects almost failed that I'm going to show you today that now are fully implemented. And through the lessons learned, we kind of come up with an equation of how to step through and go through it. And it doesn't matter. Again, we're an 11 billion entity here in the US. I don't look at it that way. I have a warehouse distribution business based in Poway, California. It's a $25 million business. I have a business in Florida that's a $15 million business. I have elevator that's a $3 billion business. I look at it, so it's not, you can scale this across any size company is the point. You just have to go in, so don't get caught up. The technology is an enabler. Don't get caught up in the technology and do change for the sake of the tech. You're gonna fail, and you can't, and by failing, I'm saying you may implement it may work, you're not getting enough value out of it for what you've invested to make that change. You have to go back and stay true to that. If you're transforming, you're gonna get value directly from your customer, you're gonna re-anchor your business model, differentiate your business model, or maybe even radically change it. So go back into how are you leveraging this? So if you look at that center piece, eliminate the weakest element of a value chain. What typically is one of the weakest areas of business, of maybe what you're doing? It's typically an analog process that you can't imagine doing any way different other than an analog process. I'm gonna show you a video here in a few minutes of what we did with thinking differently of taking an analog process in our business on a front end, and it radically changed the whole business through. Drive to the new business model. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're not gonna change your business model, someone else will. And that's one of the things we've really had to learn. I do this to get on this stage for one reason, change management. You can sit at the CEO suite, and I can sit there and say, this is what we need to do, and this is the direction we're gonna go. I'm gonna tell you, the middle management group going, the guy's lost his mind. He's an R&D guy. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He doesn't know our business. We're gonna focus on what we focus on. How do you get that middle management group to move? You get out, you talk about what you've done in some of the other business that we're brave and bold enough to make the change, and people start paying attention. When the outside world says, hey, they really have something there. They've really accomplished something here. All of a sudden, some of that middle management goes, maybe he's not so crazy. Maybe we need to consider this. So we do this to drive the change management, which is a huge process in this whole picture. Again, it came back around to say, you have all these different technologies out there, and everybody likes to experiment. The R&D guys love it, right? It comes back into, are you doing a digitalization of your operations? Are you doing a digitalization of your product? Are you actually creating data that's a product in of itself? Are you doing a digital business model? It has to come back into that center core, and it has to add customer value. Something the customer is gonna pay for. We get caught up in HoloLens. We've done a lot of work, and now we've actually, we're one of the largest deployer of the HoloLens sets right now. And everyone says, oh, the devices are, it's a $3,500 device. That's not a problem. It's not the device. When you integrate it into your business and into your operations, it's an ongoing forever deal because you need to constantly improve and perfect the data. So that kind of takes us back. What's your product? So I was in the elevator business, the head of product strategy, the head of R&D, and we wanted to do this remote maintenance, remote monitoring system. And everybody said, oh, it's all about the box. It's all about the device that you put on the elevator that's gonna bring us all the intelligence and make this system work. And I was like, wait a minute, what's our product? Is our product elevators? Oh yeah, that's what we do. We manufacture and install and take care of elevators. No, let's talk about the take care. We're actually a service. A service is our product. How does that service differentiate us from anybody else? So we stepped through this cycle and the strategy base, and what we came back to realize is one of the reasons we were good at servicing our very diverse portfolio of products, because we were built by acquisition, is we had all this different tribal knowledge that was exchanged through our footprint of how we structured our service organization. And that's when they said, yeah, perfect, and we're gonna enhance them. We're gonna give them more data. Well, where did they get the data in the first place? Where does this data come from? So we actually went out and took a couple of the different mechanics, the domain experts, and brought them in and said, what do you look at? You don't have the data today. You're going to a job and you can see an error code in the controller, but the error code just tells you where to hunt. It doesn't tell you what it is. What are you looking at? What's the number one callback issue? It's doors, okay? What do you look at? What we realized, you don't have to add sensors. You don't have to add all about new devices. The data's there. You have to use a domain expert to have that data translated into know what data you need. And what we discovered in that step, that one single step is saying, you know what? It is all about the data, the right data, of course. However, if someone came in from in the industry or outside the industry and found a way to get that data and translate it, it would completely blow apart our whole business model. Our anchor point was we had this tribal knowledge and we could use our scale to exchange it. That tribal knowledge won't matter anymore because you have the data that's already there having to go to the job site and get. If someone gets that data and can scale that data, it was dramatically shocking of what it could do to our business. So we said, we have to be first. We have to be bold and brave enough and go back, and it was a scare tactic. And I took it to the CEO and said, here's a strategy, and guess what? If you don't do this and someone else will, we'll be out of business. The scale and the boots on the ground won't matter anymore. It worked. So go back, what is your product? You look at the data and the predictive analytics of the key differentiator as the product. The data is the asset. It's an economic asset. One of the things we've actually started doing is actually using some of our data and exchanging it with not competitors, with industry partners, with manufacturers, exchanging it in return for them giving us more data. Why would we do that? Why would we be giving our secret sauce, our data asset, away? We're not giving it away. We're actually improving to get more scale, to run it through and drive it through, to continue to perfect and improve. It's about the data and scale. So go back and think, how is the data linked through your business model, through every step? So we actually have a process now. We went and mapped every single individual business, the business model, what's the anchor point, why are we successful? Are we already being commoditized? Are we losing control of our value that we can control to harvest out of the company? And we use that as the first step. So through this, we got all these tangible use cases, and I want to share where we went with this one particular case. Again, can you disrupt yourself? Can you reimagine something? One of the first things we did, so we do stair chairs, basically devices that go into a person's home and allow them to be able to stay in that home and transfer up steps. Every house stairway is different, right? So it's a custom application for every unit you sell. We had a process. We had to dispatch somebody to that house, interface with the person. Now, you're in the person's house, not because they just love this new product and it's an idea. They need it, right? They want it now. They have an immediate need. I can no longer navigate the stairs and it's affecting my life. When we started before this project, our delivery time from the time we met with the customer and delivered the product where they could use it was between 14 and 16 weeks. We had to go in, basically do a very labor-intensive measuring process of that stairway in the 2D analog world, and then translate that into a 3D picture, compare that 3D picture back to the house, so we had to go there twice, and then we could go into production. This is what we did since.
thyssenkrupp builds stair lifts, but staircases are all unique, and that makes it very hard to find one stair lift which fits all. Each and every stair lift needs to be customized to make a perfect fit. A chairlift allows our customers to access all floors of their home and be mobile in their own environment.
Selling, manufacturing, and then installation, it all takes quite a while. People need a quick solution. With HoloLens, we started saying, let's look how we can measure stairs differently so it's quicker.
Microsoft HoloLens is a fully self-contained wearable holographic computer. It enables you to interact with your digital content and projects high-definition 3D holograms into the world all around you.
Once we got the hand on the HoloLens, it was an eye-opener for us. You just put the HoloLens on, and then you scan the staircase, and then start to measure every step. HoloLens guides you through the process.
But that was just the very beginning. We realized that the HoloLens is not just another methodology of measuring a staircase, but is actually performing digital data capturing to the cloud.
With the Azure cloud, we are actually able to transport all the data gathered by the HoloLens to our customer database and our accounting systems in real time and forward it to the manufacturing site where you start production. That is a completely new use. Delivering a product with HoloLens, we could become up to 4 times faster.
We can show the animation like, hey, this is your personal stair lift. With the HoloLens, we can provide that solution faster, and it will actually make the customer's life better. we're getting more and more connected with each other, right? And the HoloLens will play a major role in this connectivity.
There's plenty of potential, and whomever we discuss this with comes up with a new idea, and that's what's so great about it.
With this partnership with Microsoft, thyssenkrupp will transform homes to make life better. That is a game changer.
So you heard the key statement there of, we started with the idea we wanted to change an analog process of how you measure. So it used to take about 4 hours to go in and measure a staircase. And we said, oh, if we could just do that with a device and shave that time substantially, and that's all the idea was to start with. What we realized is in that process, we couldn't afford that, quite frankly. The whole thing, to do the whole cycle, to create that, wasn't going to provide enough of a payback in reality. And it's not because of the cost of the device, it's everything else. We'd already been down some IoT journeys at this point to know what we needed to not do. So what we decided to say, well, if we could use it not only to measure, but also then to use it as a sales tool for the customer to be able to see what we're going to do in their home, then they got excited and said, oh, it's going to be customer facing, we're going to do it, we're going to attempt this. So we challenged Microsoft to support us in developing the capability of measurement and grid scan. And they came back and we basically got, at this point, we're about a third of the way through the timeline of the project. And they came back and said, I got a phone call at this point, and I was sitting in my office, I get a phone call from Thomas Felix here, and he says, Patrick, we're pulling the plug, we're killing the project. I said, why, what's going on? He said, well, in all the testing, we're showing that the accuracy is plus or minus 1 millimeter in what we're measuring. I said, okay, that's better than the analog process. Yeah, but the problem is when we take that per step and we put it into our system, we get too much tolerance stack and we can't accept it from a quality standpoint. And I went, what? I said, you're taking a 3D dimension, putting in your 2D process, and you're getting tolerance stack. Why are you doing it every individual step? Why aren't you doing each step to get the 3D grid and then do 5 steps? Do the top and bottom. It can scan in its full view, use the view, and eliminate the stack. But you're getting a 3D grid. Why are we putting a 3D data point in our 2D process and even doing all of that? And he went, huh, interesting. Didn't think about it that way. That's the key. That's that integration piece. And quite honestly, if they were only going to do that, we should have pulled the plug on the project. We now scan full 3D. You've seen the picture there with the customer actually being able to see it on the stairwell. That's because we go 3D scan, directly interfacing through cloud interface to our design program. In 15 minutes, it comes back and shows you the full design. That design isn't just pretty, that's the design. The data at that point, the customer can see what it looks like, sign off on it. The data is downloaded immediately to the factory to go into the production process. Here's the interesting thing. So we were at 14 to 16 weeks. Today, we can deliver in 2 weeks. From the time we're in that customer, walk in that door, to the time we can commit to say it will be here and ready to install and done in two weeks. But what's interesting is to get there, you have to go on this journey of we changed the front end process and made it digital. Everything in the downstream activity of that whole business model previously was optimized to, this was always a limitation. And not just for us, we have competitors. Everyone has that same limitation. How can you disrupt yourself to take an analog world and make it digital, but then you have to integrate and streamline everywhere down the cycle? Because before, they always had this long front-end timeline, so they didn't have to optimize production. We eliminated processes, we eliminated steps, we actually reduced headcount in regards to some of those steps and reorientated them to actually drive this now forward and integrate it more into the business. But you have to, one of the things you have to do in the project, I heard the panel up here earlier. Well, you have the guys that, oh, I'm not gonna put a headset on. I'm not wearing this thing. It's gonna impede me. Bring one of those that's the most vocal and put them on the team, day one. Then bring the person that's also the domain expert and say, hey, this is cool and this could be great. Make the two of them digital champions. We've done this every single project. They drive the user experience in the interface. Do not let your data scientists or your R&D, I'm an R&D guy. I was the head of R&D. Do not let your R&D guys drive the project. It's a mistake. This is an operations project. It is not an IT project. Our IoT projects and this project, we locked our IT teams out of it and said, you're there only to answer questions for support, period. I was not popular for a long time with him, and somehow my computer wasn't always going to work well, but this is an operations project, and if you're not true to that, and how do you inspire the people? Involve them day one. They're scared. How do you get them unscared? Take two people they respect and have them be your digital champions. It's amazing what can happen on the floor. Let's see where I'm at time-wise here. Going to the next project. So HoloLens deployed. It's been out there. We deployed full deployment a year ago. We have 850 headsets right now deployed across 2 different applications. We did an elevator application 3 years ago, so we took the very first 50 production units of HoloLens, deployed them out in the field and elevator here in the US, and doing the tech support. Our structures were already set up. That was easy, and that paid the buy-in to get in to be a partner with Microsoft. The radical change was that HoloLens. It's radically changed that business. Business is significantly successful. EBIT percentage increase, order increase, market share increase. The customers love it. We re-anchored and differentiate our business model from all the competitors out there. Now we go to a business, and there was some discussion in this last panel, warehouse distribution. It's the least sexy part of the business, right? It is it is brutal. You fight, and you heard it here, you fight and scratch for 0.1% of efficiency in that. And Amazon has come in and set a new different perspective of what the customer expects, that you have to measure up to. So we have an aftermarket warehouse distribution business around Bilstein shock absorbers. They don't manufacture the shock absorbers, we do that in other businesses. Their job is to do it aftermarket and put out the applications and process it through 3 different warehouses strategically placed in the US. It's a $25 million business. To scale that business, and it's been growing substantially year on year, to scale that business, we were having to scale it with human capital, with people. Right now, people aren't so plentiful to want to go work in a warehouse. And we were having about 3 weeks on average to have someone come in and be able to, at that point, after 3 weeks of training and stepping them through the process, then they could actually pick an order by themselves. So it was really difficult to scale. So they came to me and said, hey, let's use HoloLens. We've seen this HoloLens thing. Let's use HoloLens to train the workers. Okay, that's what we started with. We could do a pick and pack process with the HoloLens to step them through the steps. And that would be our training program, and we could get them up to speed just like that. So we kind of started down that journey and realized you can't afford it. If it's training only, you're not looking at the cost of a warehouse worker was not a cost enough from a training. Training in aerospace, training in some other industries where extreme high legal liability costs, value out of that, sure. General operations business, pretty tough to sell. So we stepped back and said, how do we integrate this? What could we do more with it?
thyssenkrupp Bilstein's aftermarket and motorsports division designs shock absorbers for the independent aftermarket.
We are under a very strong growth phase right now, but that comes with some stress as well on the warehouses that they have to ship a lot more product than they've had to in the past.
So we came here to the Microsoft Vision Lab to develop a better solution to improve our warehouse management at our Bilstein operating company.
Well, it all starts with the customer. So once they place an order, they obviously have an expectation. In today's world, everyone wants it the next day. So as soon as they've hit that button, they're now kind of tapping their fingers, waiting for that product. And then we immediately want to pick, pack, and ship that as soon as we can.
The
gentleman there with the headset
provides great
was our top
opportunities
picker of
for
the group.
improving efficiency.
Day one, he was in the project.
And for improving quality in the process.
The order picker will see their most optimized route. Let's go. And will be guided to the location via beacons.
When the order
Virtual
picker
picking.
approaches the bin location, the HoloLens highlights immediately which parts the order picker needs to pick and provides the ability to confirm the pick through scanning and audio confirmation.
Select.
Not only does it save the employee a lot of time, but also it's basically like a double check, so we make sure that he actually picked the right box, so we don't ship the wrong item to the customer.
The HoloLens is able to provide additional safety by highlighting forklift equipment and other moving hazards that it can detect.
It'll make for a much more efficient, safer, and a more enjoyable work environment for the order picking team.
Select. If there's a problem, they have a damaged box, they can simply call their supervisor with a HoloLens, show what they see, and then get a quick answer back what to do.
We're gonna have to rebox that. I'll assign that to your task list.
On the same call, a supervisor can add another high priority order to the picker's schedule.
One of the really valuable features of HoloLens in the order picking process is that the supervisor is able to show the employee virtually in 3D how to better perform certain tasks and processes. So as they're doing their activities, there's an opportunity for learning moments where we can teach our employees how to do things better, safer, or faster the next time around.
Thanks to the efficiency gains provided by the HoloLens, we are able to provide the customer with the desired product faster than ever before in a great turnaround time and contribute significantly to our customer satisfaction.
At thyssenkrupp, we believe in engineering tomorrow together for not only our employees, but all of our stakeholders. And by embracing this new HoloLens technology, this can help us to deliver on that promise.
Know your business model. So we took the best picker, put them in the project day one. We finished our implementation and integration with SAP warehouse management system earlier this year. The #1 top picker of the whole group put on the device, went through, did a full day of picking, and improved overall, total for that day, 22% efficiency gain with your top person. The next day, we came in, we were reviewing the numbers to do the full, broader platform implementation, whether there was a yes or a no. And they said, yeah, but that's the top guy. He's been in the project. He knows how to use it. What about someone who's never picked an order before? I said, let me put it on. I know how to use a HoloLens, so let me put it on. I said, honestly, I've seen the warehouse, but I have no idea what I'd be doing. Let me put it on and see if I can pick some orders. So I did. And honestly, I picked them. They were 100% quality, and twice the system actually corrected me because I was wrong. I said, so if a CEO can come in and pick an order, I think you pretty much are there. It was radically transforming of the business, but it had to link back, what is your digital implementation? And here's the last aha. If you're true to that, so how does all that data get in there? Are you manually putting it in there? No. Is SAP putting in there? No. When you receive the product, everything you do, you no longer have scan guns, lists, checkoffs, all this stuff. Everything's in the HoloLens. You're on the forklift, scan from the HoloLens on the forklift. You're not getting off. Now, if it's a small package, yes, you have to get off and look at it. But all you're doing is looking at it. It's eliminated so many steps that you don't even realize you're doing. The big aha came when you're taking product in, you're placing it there. You have a holographic 3D footprint of your warehouse at any given slice of time. And it's independent of your ERP system. Our auditors just signed off a few months ago. We do not have to do physical inventory ever again in that warehouse. That is a huge payback. But you have to digitally integrate all the way through the process, closed loop. I know I'm way over time. I'm going to finish up with what we learned. Wearables in industry, in operations is inevitable. Embrace it now. The technology is developing. Be a part of that development to rapidly improve the cycle. It will pay back. But to do that, they're not toys. Don't do stuff for the sake of tech. Link it to a business case that drives customer value, that they're willing to pay for, that differentiates you enough that they're going to pay you for it. Regardless of the scale of business, Use your partners. We're in a partnership with Microsoft. We're big enough we could do that. But who would ever have thought this very industrial-based company would be on a strategy-based partner with Microsoft? We would have never envisioned it. But we've leveraged that to each other. We pushed them. We think the HoloLens could scan. Can you do that? Can you do that for us? Would you be willing to do that? We would if you'll do this. And it's this constant challenge and tension and assistance between the two groups in a positive way. Focus on what fails. Speed up by, if you can't fail it, then it might be possible. And continue that. Stay the course. But go back. What's your problem? What's the data? So the product is not the shock. It's the data. What's the solution? And it's a journey. You're not putting it in, walking away, and done. I've heard so many, especially the C-suite group, oh, once this project's done, great, what's next? It's not done. You're going to put resources because you want to continually evolve that data and improve the efficiencies there. You have a brand new operating structure. You do a Six Sigma implementation of a new operating structure and walk away and leave it? No. Have you radically changed your business model? Because if you haven't, I guarantee you there's companies out there like us that are going to try to. Thank you.
Well done. Well done.
Do we have time for Q&A? No, we have break after this. Great.
All right.
Gary Binstock from Colgate-Palmolive. Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
The question is on HoloLens. We've been hesitant for, full field of view for safety to walk around warehouse or forklifts. Can you comment on that?
Certainly. I can tell you, when we took the first 50 headsets, so one of the things we challenged with Microsoft that they've delivered on now is they're actually, the lenses are safety glass certified. So that was a big step. When we first deployed them, utilizing them in the field in the elevator business, there was a lot of tension about, oh, the field of view is blocked. HoloLens 2 is coming, and I know when, but I can't say because of conflict of interest. But HoloLens 2 is just around the corner, and it improves the field of view substantially, so that is going to definitely mitigate it. But in our system, in that warehouse, it's guiding you. That was the beauty. I mean, from a safety standpoint, it's guiding you, and what's really interesting, so we already have our warehouses outfitted with Wi-Fi because we were using the scan guns. We didn't have to change the infrastructure whatsoever from an IT basis. But what was interesting, again, because you're guiding them and it's routing them, you now have your full route distribution of where people are moving, and you can start optimizing on that basis. We've changed our warehouse layout dramatically, simply on the basis we have data as an outcome we never knew. So we literally have digital champions spend all their time in this optimization efficiency. So from a safety standpoint in that application, there was no issue. But we had a lot of concerns. The weight, the temperature. We actually have, every person has 2 devices. We put gamification in for them to be able to personalize their devices. But they have a device they wear in the first part of the day, then they go to lunch, they put that device on the charger and pull the new one off. In the summer, that's in Poway, California. It's hot. That warehouse is not environmentally controlled per se. We actually, and we got this idea from Boeing, thank you for this, but put it in the refrigerator. You put the headset in the refrigerator, you put it on, guys love it. They were worried about the head weight. Oh, they're gonna be exhausted through the day. They are so engaged and excited about what it's doing for them. 0 complaints. They have actually been our biggest push because the warehouse management team was not so sure, and all these same questions. The work teams, because we had our 2 digital champions and they were spreading that information, actually got the management, overrode the management because the pull was so strong. Our goal now is I need to scale that across the 42 businesses. The exciting thing is there will be some announcements from Microsoft where they are going to make this application available. You'll have to do implementation. I think there's various different consultant communities out there that can help you with that. But it will be a base platform application within the portfolio of enterprise application for HoloLens soon to come. Any other questions?
Yeah, right here. Right here.
Oh, sorry.
Chris Rojas, Maxar. I wanted you to, I think I missed your key point about tying the data into your ERP. When you did your pilot, was it completely isolated? And then once you found the ROI, you could prove it, then you tied it in? Is that?
Correct. Correct.
And because now
it's fully integrated now. It has to have a handshake, but you don't want to have your ERP feeding it to then it feed back to the ERP, because now you've not true to your step processes, and we learned that right from the beginning is you don't want it self-contained only either. It's got to have the interfaces, but be true to what you're trying to accomplish on that front piece. Don't always take your data from the back end. Let's be honest, your ERP back-end data is probably not always the cleanest. Start with the fact you're in a new 3D data image. So when you implement this, when the first thing you do when you say, I want to take this warehouse and make it this way, you basically, the shell of the warehouse, you take the HoloLens in there and you scan it. You walk through and you scan it. You build the digital model with the HoloLens. You're not sitting there programming and putting all the data in like crazy. It's there. There will be some announcements also coming for those that are using various different 3D CAD systems. So we've worked a lot with SolidWorks and Dassault. They will be actually launching and announcing later this fall a direct 3D model conversion to holographic image. Push a button, you have a 3D model, push a button, your image is done. You no longer have to do the conversion yourself to build that holographic image. That's going to be huge. We have 10,000 SKUs in the warehouse in Poway alone. But we're 100% deployed with either CATIA or SolidWorks across all of our businesses. So.
All right, guys.
Thanks, everyone.